All right, y'all. We stumbled across GMS, and we're gonna go talk to him right now. Adam's got the camera.
What up, y'all?
What up, y'all? It's your hometown hero, the real Adam Coleman, host of the True ID podcast. And for anybody who's been following me for a while, you recall that I was in New York this past summer for an apologetics conference sponsored by Frank Turek and Cross Examine Ministries. So definitely shout out to them. It was a dope conference. And yo, we had the whole squad in the building. I mean, David Wood, Vocab Malone, my man Sam Shamoon, John McCrae from What Do You Mean? And of course, yours truly. I'm talking about the whole A-team of apologetics was in the building for that, Jake, man. It was dope. It was really dope. And we actually had a pretty dope conversation with some Hebrew Israelites. Now, Hebrew Israelites, of course, are known for setting up shop and street preaching, or as they refer to it, going into highways and byways. And we just happen to know a guy who is familiar with some locations where a particular camp of Hebrew Israelites, GMS, might be out there doing their thing. So we rolled up on them. We figured out where they might have been. And, you know, we stopped by to have a dialogue, man. And it actually turned out to be pretty productive. We actually ended up running into the founder and current leader of GMS, a guy by the name of Tahar, along with two of his, generals, if you will, by the name of Gabar and Arayam Lab, who was out there, street preaching. So we engaged him or whatever. And it actually ended up being a pretty good build.
You are here because your father laid down with your mother had sex, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, so where did your father come from? She had a father and a mother, right?
Well, I'm waiting for that.
They had sex, right?
So you saying in Hebrew law you can't be grafted into somebody else's lineage? You can't have a servant taken into your house. You can't do that.
Oh yes, you can.
So you can be in somebody's lineage and not necessarily their sperm. I was just asking.
Okay. You can take a servant into your house. But guess what? That doesn't make them an Israelite. All right?
So how do you become an Israelite?
That's not what I said.
How do you become an Israelite? Say it again.
What I said was, from an Old Testament scripture, right, or Hebrew Bible, excuse me, right? Can you have a servant being brought into your house and then be and those who come after them are part of your lineage?
No, they're not. No, they're not, because they're your servant. They're not from your seed. There's no connection there.
From your father's side?
Come on, bro.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Not according to First Chronicles.
First Chronicles 2:34.
Sheshan had no sons, only daughters, but he did have an Egyptian servant whose name was Jarrah. Sheshan gave his daughter in marriage to his servant Jarrah, and she bore a tie to him. The tie fathered Nathan, and Nathan fathered Zabad. That's right.
So according to you, they're Egyptian, they're not Israelites because it's daughters.
You do not understand that.
Checkmate.
So check out this clip, and I'll be back in a second to break it down.
Paul made it never existed, right? But we believe Paul existed because we opened the scriptures.
Okay.
And we read about Paul.
Okay.
Now that could be a concept.
I believe Paul existed because Paul
What color was
with
it?
history.
What color was it?
Oh, Paul was not Jamaican. I know that's right.
No.
What color was it? I don't even care what Paul was. You can say he's black. I don't care.
What color was it? What color was it?
You're missing my point, and I'm not going to let you derail until it's
No. He said Paul.
If you don't let me,
I'm asking what
if we're not, no, you're getting off topic. I feel like you're dodging me, bro. I feel like you're dodging me.
What nation was Paul?
I don't
What
know.
nation was Paul?
I don't know. What nation was Paul?
The scripture says
Okay, I'll accept that. That's fine. Sure.
Okay,
But
what color was he though?
You're
What color was
dodging
he
me, bro. What does this
He
have
doesn't
to
want to
do?
deal with that question. Give me that in Acts 21.
Listen, you're dodging because you don't want to deal with my question, which is why you're trying to get to what Paul.
No, you kept asking the question.
Okay, Paul's an Egyptian. Whatever.
Paul ain't no Egyptian.
You just said that.
He passed. You ain't listening to what I said. If Paul passed for an Egyptian, because the man said to Paul,
I got it. This has nothing to do with my point. I don't chapter 21.
Hold on. You got to listen, man.
No, you got to listen, bro.
Listen to the scripture. Listen to the scripture.
You're missing my point. That is irrelevant right now to what I'm saying. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
As soon as I brought up color, I mentioned Paul. He had a problem. I know Paul.
Listen.
When I said what color is he had a problem with it because he doesn't want to accept the fact that Paul might be a black.
I don't care. Paul's black. That's beside the point.
Okay, good.
Okay, I don't care. You're not listening to my point. What was my point about? How does this relate to my point?
Can I read the scripture? Let's listen to the scripture, all right?
21 verse 37. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain.
Before I read on, what color are the Egyptians?
Bro, if you're not answering my... Tell me how this relates to my question, then I'll answer.
What?
Okay, so here's the part when I'm about to get in on the action. Now, already my man John McCrae from What Do You Mean had just been jamming them up all day on some just crucial philosophical flaws, particularly in regard to defining what faith is from a biblical standpoint and how it relates to knowledge or how we come to know things. Now notice here, it seems like Tahar is trying to get out of the bad spot John had put him in, and so he switches the subject to race and what color he believes the ancient Hebrews were. Now I want you to pay attention to a couple of different things. So Tahar and his team are claiming that the Apostle Paul was black. Now why would they want to do that? Well, a common way that Hebrew Israelites go about making their claim that the ancient Hebrews were black is to appeal to Acts chapter 21 verses 37 and 38 as a proof text to assert that the Apostle Paul was black. So the passage says this, quote, "As the soldiers were about to take Paul into the barracks, he asked the commander, 'May I say something to you?' 'Do you speak Greek?' the commander replied. 'Aren't you the Egyptian who started a revolt and led 4,000 terrorists out into the wilderness some time ago?" End quote. So we've got this case of mistaken identity going on, where this Roman commander is thinking that Paul might be an Egyptian terrorist. And so the thinking for the Hebrew Israelites is that if the Egyptians were black and Paul was mistaken for being an Egyptian, then Paul must have been black. And if Paul was black, then they would say that they have good reason to say that all Hebrews were black. Now, I think Tahar presents a pretty flawed argument when he's trying to make his case here. So that's where I decided to apply a little pressure with some history and some basic logic. So let's go back to the video clip and check out how I responded to him. And then later on, I'll come back and explain why I held Tahar's feet to the fire on this particular point.
What? They're all ranges, bro. You got to do your history.
Okay, if you... Okay,
they go from...
Egyptians,
so, they answer your question. I'm answering your question. How come I can't answer? You asked me the question. This is a historical question.
Let me say this.
All right.
Egyptians, the original Egyptians, where did they come from? Where did they come from? Where did they come from?
Africa. You and me are pretty much better than West Africans, right? Most of them, right?
You're not answering my question, man. But if you're done with it, that's fine. You can just tell me.
I'll come back to you. 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 The Egyptians, where did they come from?
No worries.
Who's the father of the Egyptians? And what's their original name, by the way? The Egyptians, what's their original
Adam, don't follow the red herring, bro, because he's just trying to avoid the question that I was asking.
You asked him, you've been asking the question for the last 20 minutes. Bro, it all goes back to
but you never gave me an answer.
All right? I gave you an answer.
I did cut him off.
No.
Come back to me. Let him do his thing.
No. We're just going to go around in circles.
But no, you never answered my question, though, bro. You don't want to answer, do you?
I'm not going to just
circumlocute. All right, let me say this. No, I don't want to
understand what I'm saying, though?
You can put that on record. Let me ask you a question. The Egyptian people in the scriptures, where did they come from pursuant to the scriptures? The Egyptians, what are they called? What were they called? Who'd they come from? Come on, you know that. You know the scriptures. I'm asking you a question. That's the point.
We're trying to establish color. So we say where it comes from.
You see, they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit it, man. All right? Okay, good. We're getting somewhere. I'll shake your hand on that.
Okay.
He said Mizraim, right?
I'm straight up.
Where did Mizraim come from? Where did Mizraim come from?
You tell me. I'm waiting. Hey, go for it.
You know the scriptures, right?
Huh?
Where did Mizraim come from?
I know, hey, by faith, man. Right? I know it by faith, right? I'm going to give you your answer, right?
Who's the father of Mizraim? Ham,
okay.
You agree? You agree?
But you don't...
Okay, listen.
Ham, okay.
Ham. Who's the father of Ham? Noah. What does Noah mean? If you don't know, it means comfort. Noah, it means comfort. That's all it means.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
So if the Egyptians were black, you said there were different shades.
You say if
the majority. When you open up books on ancient Egypt, the wall paintings and so forth. If you go down to the museum on 5th Avenue, 85th Street,
I studied quite a bit.
Listen, you make a right. That's the Egyptian section, right? You will see paintings of lighter skinned people with braids, right? But mostly, for the most part, maybe 95%, you'll see tall, dark skinned people. All right? So they would, for the most part, they would have to be black.
No. Because you got to distinguish between Coptics. You got to distinguish between Coptics, those who live in like the rural areas. Then you got to deal with those who are kind of mixed in with the Greeks. Because you got to figure the Greeks had already been there for like 300 years, B.
What land did they inhabit? What land did the Egyptians inhabit?
I mean, you know they're intermarried, right?
The majority.
You realize the Egyptians and Greeks were intermarried for like 3 centuries,
I'm talking about the first Egyptians. I'm talking about this Mizraim and his 3 sons and his 4 sons and his 5 daughters that became a nation. What country or continent did they abide in? Did they live in?
But they didn't call them continents back then. Not the way we are.
See what they're doing? See what they're doing? I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him. The country or the land of the Egyptians, of Mizraim, where their land located.
Right, but here's the thing. Let me clarify what I'm trying to say, because I know we talking past each other. What I'm trying to say is, you can't determine his color based upon where you're going, because in that area there was at least three centuries of intermarriage between Greeks and indigenous Africans. So by that time Paul comes along, he could have looked like David Wood. Well, I don't know. Bring it out like David Wood.
That's right.
There was no such thing as Greeks during the time of Mizraim.
Bruh,
There was no
by the first century, Paul is walking around. By the time Paul is walking around, so you can't establish Paul's color based upon the origins, bro. You talk about the first century, B.
Why don't make people compliment your shirt, bro?
Oh yeah, God's greater than racism, man. All day.
True ID, subscribe to Adam's channel. True ID podcast, subscribe to my man.
Right. He asked me historical questions, he's wrong, yo. I mean, it's just that simple. Nobody's omniscient, man. Sometimes you gotta think for yourself, yo. Study. So you notice though, like when we hit him with the historical point, he's like switched it up. He went somewhere else. Because he had no answer for it. Come on, man.
Okay, so your boy Tahar got caught slipping and definitely took an L on that point about Paul. And you notice he ended up having to switch gears yet again after his whole argument about Paul's complexion based on Egyptian origins just got completely shredded. Now, truth be told, whether Paul was of dark complexion or not really wasn't my concern. I mean, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. And just like I said in the clip about the Egyptians, I mean, there was a range of complexions among them. And I'd say the same was probably the case for the ancient Hebrews as well. For Tahar, it was about proving skin color, but for me, that wasn't really the issue. Now, let me say for clarity's sake, I do not believe the Apostle Paul looked like David Wood. I don't want anybody hit me up on Facebook talking about Adam Coleman, you said the Apostle Paul was white or all the Hebrews are white or anything like that. That's not the point that I was making. Throughout our conversation, as me and Tahar were going back and forth, my approach was to use his words and his reasoning to debunk his claims. And that's what I was doing there. See, earlier in the conversation, Tahar had said this right here.
So when they believe that the Edomites are here today and they're so-called white people, except for David Wood, he might be one of us because he got a good beatbox.
That's right.
He got a great beatbox, better than your rhyming. He can beatbox. So I looked at him, I said, man, maybe this guy might be a J. You're going to have Israelites that's going to look just like this guy.
So while I was being sarcastic about the Apostle Paul looking like David Wood, at the same time, I was trying to use Tahar's own reasoning against him as I layered on another counterpoint to his Egyptian origins argument for Paul's complexion. Because if by the time the first century rolls around, which is when Paul lived, there had already been mixing between ethnic groups such that the Egyptians and the Hebrews both had a wide range of complexions among them. And at the same time, Tahar believes that David Wood and people who look like him could be Israelites. Then if we put those 2 points together, there's no way that Tahar can say with any confidence what the Apostle Paul looked like. And according to his own beliefs, he would have to acknowledge that for all he knows, the Apostle Paul could have been walking around first century Jerusalem and looking like David Wood. And obviously that undermines his whole argument about Paul's complexion. Now, again, I don't believe that the Apostle Paul looked like David Wood, but this is the kind of problem that Tahar's flawed argumentation leaves him with. He just shoots himself in the foot. My main concern was that Tahar was making questionable assumptions about what scripture says and what can be demonstrated historically or with solid argumentation. You see, in conversations like these, you want to think about argumentation as being like back in the day in math class, where your teacher wasn't just concerned about the answer that you gave, but they also wanted you to show your work. Now, why was it so important to show your work? It's because the process by which you came to your answer is as important, if not more important, than the answer that you gave. And so it's the same thing here. Because see, apologetics is not just about responding to objections. It's all about getting at the truth, particularly the truth of Christianity. Now, it's pretty hard to consistently arrive at the truth on any given subject if you're thinking illogically or mishandling information. So when we're trying to communicate the truth to others, it's in our best interest to help people to think more clearly or deal with topics on a more factual basis. And when you're dealing with people or groups who are prone to misinterpreting scripture, you want to help them to handle the scriptures more carefully. See, it's helpful to keep these things in mind when you're dialoguing with folks, whether it be family members, friends, co-workers, whatever. If we can help people to think through these kinds of things more clearly and be sharper with interpreting scripture, then that gives them a better chance of understanding what God has revealed in his word and what the biblical worldview has to offer. And so with that being said, y'all know what it is, man. Love y'all. Definitely subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, hit the like button, share it. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And, if you feel so inclined, check me out on Patreon as well, man. We need all the support we can get. We're trying to put out more videos. And as always, man, love God, love people, and take care of the things that God blesses you with.